7 questions. That's all it takes. 7 questions to find out if you're one of the lucky few who's actually aging the right way, or if your body has been quietly sending you warning signals you've been too busy to notice. Here's what nobody tells you about getting older. It's not a slope. It's not a smooth, gradual slide from strong to weak. It's a series of doors, and every single day, you either walk through the door that keeps you independent, or you walk through the door that starts taking things away. Most people never even know which door they walk through until years later, when it's too late to go back and choose differently. Today that changes. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you 7 simple checks. No lab work, no appointment, no waiting room, just you, right where you're sitting, finding out exactly where your body stands today. And by the end, you won't just know your score, you'll know exactly what to do about every single point you're missing. I'm Dr. James Revealio. I've spent my entire career in exam rooms with people exactly like you. People in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. People who wanted the truth about their own bodies instead of vague reassurances. And here is the truth I've learned after all those years. The people who age the best are almost never the ones with the best genetics. They're the ones who knew what to watch for and did something small about it before it became something big. So let's stop talking around it. Let's find out where you actually stand. Before we start, I want to tell you something that took me almost 20 years in medicine to fully understand. The human body doesn't fail all at once. It fails quietly, one small capability at a time, and it almost never announces itself. Nobody wakes up one morning and suddenly can't get off the couch. It happens in inches, over years, while you're busy living your life and not paying attention. That's exactly why these 7 checks matter so much. They're not there to scare you. They're there to catch the inches before they become miles. Think of this less like a test you can fail and more like a flashlight. We're just going to shine it into 7 corners of your health that most people never look at until something goes wrong. One more thing before we begin. There's no shame anywhere in this video, not 1 ounce. If you sail through all 7, wonderful. You'll know exactly what you're doing right so you can protect it. And if you struggle with some of them, that's not a verdict on your future. It's a map. It shows you exactly where to spend your energy, starting today. Ready? Let's begin with the one almost every doctor I know quietly relies on more than any blood test in the building. Here's your first check, and you can do it immediately wherever you are. Cross your arms over your chest so your hands can't help you. Now, using only your legs, stand all the way up out of your chair and sit back down. No rocking, no using the armrests, no bracing against your knees. Go ahead, try it right now. How did that feel? I want to tell you why this one small movement carries so much weight in medicine. When I'm evaluating a patient's real-world strength, I don't reach for a machine first. I watch them stand up from a chair. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but it isn't, because that single motion recruits the exact muscles that keep you alive and independent. Your quadriceps, your glutes, your hips, the entire engine that gets you off the toilet at 2 a.m., out of the car in a parking lot, up off the ground if you ever stumble. If you stood up clean and smooth, that's a genuinely strong signal. It tells me your legs still have the power reserve to catch you if life throws you off balance. Literally. It's one of the single best predictors we have of who avoids a serious fall in the next several years and who doesn't. If you had to use your hands or you couldn't do it at all, I want you to actually hear this next part, because it might be the most important sentence I say all video. Leg strength is the single fastest thing in the entire human body to rebuild. At any age, no exceptions. I have watched patients in their late 80s go from needing both arms and a 3 count to standing up in one smooth motion in under 6 weeks, not months, weeks. Here's exactly how you do it. 10 times a day, practice this movement. Before every meal, stand up and sit down from your chair 5 times, using your hands if you need to at first. That's it. That's the entire prescription. Your muscles don't check your birth certificate before they decide whether to respond to a demand. They just respond. Ask your legs to work, and they will. Now let's move to something almost nobody checks, and yet it might be the single quietest gatekeeper of your independence. Before we do this one, your safety matters matters more to me than anything else in this video. So please, stand next to something solid. A countertop, a heavy dresser, the back of a sturdy chair, something you can grab instantly. If you're not feeling steady today, just watch and try this another time. There is genuinely no rush here. Here's the test. With your hand hovering near that solid surface, lift one foot a few inches off the ground and hold it for 10 seconds. Then switch sides. Balance is strange because unlike almost every other system in the body, it fails in complete silence. There's no ache, no stiffness, no early warning symptom. Your nervous system, your inner ear, your ankles and core simply lose a small percentage of coordination every year that you don't actively work against it. Until one day, a wet tile or an uneven sidewalk becomes the moment everything changes. This is the marker I personally worry about most for the people I care for, because a single fall in your 70s or 80s can undo years of otherwise excellent health in one afternoon. If you held both sides for 10 seconds without grabbing the counter, that is a genuinely excellent sign. Your nervous system is still doing quiet, constant work every time you walk across a room, work you never even notice. If you wobbled or couldn't do it at all, here's the good news. Balance responds to practice faster than almost any other system in the body. While you're brushing your teeth every morning and night, stand on one foot near the sink for as long as you comfortably can. That's it. 30 seconds, twice a day. Within a few weeks, most people notice a real tangible difference. And here's why I want you to actually do this one, not just nod along. Protecting your balance isn't really about balance. It's about protecting the version of your life where you're still the one deciding when you leave the house, not someone else. This next one surprised me the most when I first learned it in my training because it has almost nothing to do with the body part you'd expect. Can you still twist open a jar that's sealed on tight? Can you carry in every grocery bag from the car in one trip without your hands giving out halfway? Here's what fascinated me the first time I read the research on this. Your grip strength is one of the most reliable single predictors we have of your overall health. Not just your hands, your entire body. Your heart, your bones, your muscle mass, even your long-term risk of chronic disease. It's almost like checking the pressure of one tire and learning the condition of the whole vehicle. Try this right now. Make a tight fist and squeeze as hard as you can for 5 seconds. Notice, does it feel powerful and sure, or does it feel tired and weak almost immediately? If your grip is strong, that's a wonderful sign that you're holding onto lean muscle, which is one of the single most protective things a body can do as it ages. If it's weaker than you'd like, here's the encouraging part. Grip is one of the easiest things in the world to train back. Keep a stress ball or a rolled up towel by your favorite chair and squeeze it while you watch television. Carry your own groceries whenever you're able. Open your own jars, even when it takes an extra few seconds of effort. And I want to say one more thing directly, because I've watched this happen in hundreds of families. If someone who loves you insists on opening every jar and carrying every bag for you, they are loving you. But they may also be quietly taking away the exact repetitions your body needs to stay strong. It is completely fine to smile and say, "Thank you, I've got this one." Here's something you've done tens of thousands of times without a second thought, and yet how you do it may say more about your future than almost anything in my office. Can you walk at a genuinely brisk pace? The kind you'd use crossing a busy parking lot or catching up to someone ahead of you without running out of breath? In geriatric medicine, we sometimes call walking speed the 6th vital sign, right alongside heart rate, blood pressure, and temperature. And the research backing that up is remarkably consistent. People who maintain a steady, confident walking pace tend to live measurably longer and stay independent measurably longer than those whose pace has quietly slowed. Here's your check. Next time you walk, even just down your hallway right now, notice 2 things. First, your breath. Can you hold a normal pace and still comfortably carry on a conversation? Second, your steadiness. Are your steps sure and confident, or do you find yourself watching the floor and shuffling? If you can walk briskly and still chat easily, that's a genuinely strong heart and a genuinely strong body underneath you. Protect that. If you've noticed yourself slowing, getting winded sooner, or shuffling a little more than you used to, take that seriously, but gently, because this is one of the single most fixable markers on this entire list. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need to push yourself to exhaustion. Start with 5 or 10 minutes a day and let it grow slowly, week by week. Walk to your mailbox and back. Walk around the block once. If the weather or your knees keep you indoors, marching gently in place while holding a counter or walking the length of your hallway several times counts exactly the same. The goal was never where you walk. It's simply that you keep moving consistently. One serious note, if your breath ever feels genuinely difficult during a normal walk, or you notice tightness in your chest, please mention that to your own physician. That one deserves a real conversation, not a home remedy. Now we arrive at something we almost never discuss, even though it quietly touches every single marker on this entire list: your sleep. Do you still sleep through most of the night and wake up feeling reasonably restored? Let me put a common worry to rest immediately, because I hear it constantly from my own patients. As we age, sleep naturally becomes lighter. We wake once or twice during the night, and we tend to rise earlier than we did at 40. All of that is completely normal. None of it is something to fear. What we're really checking isn't whether you sleep like you're 25 again. It's whether most mornings you wake up feeling like the night actually did its job. Because here is what's genuinely happening while you sleep. Your body is repairing muscle tissue, stabilizing your heart rhythm, calming inflammation built up over the day, and your brain is performing something remarkable, clearing out cellular waste and carefully filing away the day's memories. That's precisely why one poor night leaves you foggy and short-tempered, and why consistently good sleep protects your mood, your memory, and your heart all simultaneously. At this stage of life, sleep isn't a luxury. It's free medicine you give yourself every single night. If you're sleeping well and waking rested, protect that habit fiercely. It's doing more for you than you probably realize. If your nights have become restless, please don't simply accept it as an unavoidable part of aging, because it usually isn't. Try going to bed and waking at roughly the same time daily, weekends included. Get natural light on your face shortly after waking. It resets your internal clock. Limit afternoon caffeine. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. And give yourself a genuine 30 minutes to wind down before bed, away from a bright screen. One thing worth flagging directly to your own doctor: if you snore heavily and wake up gasping or feel exhausted no matter how many hours you sleep, there is sometimes a real, treatable cause behind that, and it's absolutely worth investigating. This next one is the marker people fear losing more than almost anything else, and I have something genuinely reassuring to tell you about it. Can you follow a conversation and remember most of what was said? Can you recall the names of people you've recently met? And here's the question I care about most. Are you still actively learning anything new? A recipe, a game, a skill, how to video call your grandchildren? Before we go further, let me ease a worry I see in almost every patient's eyes. Misplacing your glasses or walking into a room and forgetting why? That is completely normal at every age. A busy, sharp 40-year-old does exactly the same thing constantly. That is not the thing to fear. What matters far more is the bigger picture. Are you still curious? Still engaged? Still willing to pick up something unfamiliar, even slowly? Here's something science got completely wrong for decades. We used to believe the aging brain was essentially finished growing. We now know that's flatly untrue. Your brain continues forming new neural connections for your entire life, at any age, without exception. Every time you genuinely challenge your mind, you are literally building it stronger, the same way lifting a weight builds a muscle. So how do you check this one? No quiz required. Simply ask yourself, in the last month, did I learn or attempt anything genuinely new? If the honest answer is no, that isn't a failure. Think of it as an open invitation. If your mind already feels sharp and engaged, keep feeding it deliberately. Read things that genuinely challenge you. Do a crossword or a puzzle. Have real conversations about real ideas with people you respect. A sharp mind at this age is rarely luck. It's a mind that's consistently being used. And notice something important. Nearly everything that keeps your mind sharp also happens to bring you closer to other people. Conversations, classes, card games, phone calls. That's not a coincidence at all. It points us directly to the final marker, the one I believe matters more than every other marker on this list combined. You cannot test this final one with a stopwatch, a chair, or a jar lid. It's quieter than all the others, and yet across my entire career, it has told me more about who genuinely thrives in these years and who quietly fades than any single medical test I own. Here's the question: do you have a real reason to get out of bed each morning? And do you have at least one person in your life who would notice if you went quiet for a few days? I place this marker last, but I consider it first in true importance because of a pattern I have watched repeat itself for years. I've cared for patients who, on paper, carried every diagnosis imaginable, and yet they kept going, strong and genuinely bright for years longer than any chart predicted. And I've watched others whose bodies were in excellent shape simply fade far sooner than they should have. The difference, again and again, came down to exactly this. The ones who kept going had something or someone worth getting up for. A grandchild who called regularly, a garden that needed tending, a weekly coffee with an old friend. And this isn't only something I've observed personally. Researchers have documented it repeatedly. Sustained loneliness takes a genuine, measurable physical toll on the body. In some studies rivaling the impact of habits we typically worry about far more, like smoking or inactivity. We were simply never built to do this part alone. I think often of a man I cared for years ago, a widower after 5 decades of marriage. For a while, I genuinely feared for him. What ultimately brought him back wasn't anything I prescribed. It was a standing Tuesday breakfast with 2 other men from his neighborhood. Eggs and black coffee every single week, rain or shine. That single weekly breakfast likely did more for his health than anything in my medical bag ever could. And I genuinely know, that this marker is the hardest one for so many of you, because by our 70s and 80s, life has already taken people from us. A spouse, old friends, the world can grow very quiet. If that's true for you right now, I want you to hear this clearly. What you're feeling is completely real, and it is not your fault. But here's the most hopeful thing I'll say in this entire video. Purpose and connection can be rebuilt at any age, from any starting point, and it never has to be grand. Call one person this week just to hear their voice. Say yes to one invitation you'd normally decline. Find one small thing that gives your day real shape. A walk at the same time each morning. A plant you keep alive. A neighbor you check in on. Connection is a muscle too, and it comes back exactly the same way every other marker on this list does. One small, brave repetition at a time. So let's put all 7 side by side. Rising from a chair, holding your balance, a strong grip, a confident walking pace, genuinely restful sleep, a curious, engaged mind, and a life with real purpose and real people in it. How did you do? If you move through most of these easily, I want to tell you plainly, you are aging better than the overwhelming majority of people your age, and that is not luck, and it is not simply your genetics. Keep doing precisely what you're already doing, and protect it deliberately. And if you struggled with several of them, 3, 4, even all 7, I want you to hear this more gently than anything else I've said today. This is not bad news. This may genuinely be the most useful news you receive all year, because every single marker on this list responds to effort at any age without exception. You didn't click on this video by accident. Some part of you is still actively choosing to live well, and that instinct is exactly right. And it is more than enough to begin. Here is the one truth 20 years of medicine has taught me above all others. Aging well was never about luck, and it was never about genetics. It comes down to a small handful of kind, deliberate things you do for yourself, repeated consistently. A few chair stands before dinner, a few seconds of balance practice at the counter, a jar you insist on opening yourself, a short walk, a genuinely restful night, one new thing learned, one person called. That's the entire secret, and none of it depends on your age. So pick just one marker from this list, the smallest, easiest one, and commit to it starting tomorrow morning. If this felt like it was actually speaking to you, like a real person and not a headline, then stay with me. Subscribe and come back, because I'll be right here with you week after week, walking through this exact season of life together. You do not have to do any of this alone. And whatever you decide to work on first, please don't wait for the perfect moment, more energy, or next Monday. In every year of my career, the people who aged the best were never the ones who waited until they felt ready. They were simply the ones who started small today and let it quietly compound day after day. So let today be that day. Take real care of yourself. I mean that. And I'll see you in the next one.